Mysterious silver object reported by pilot over Rhode Island rekindles debate over unidentified aerial phenomena. High above Rhode Island's familiar coastline, a routine private flight took an unexpected and unsettling turn, one that continues to puzzle aviation professionals and fuel public fascination with unidentified aerial phenomena, often referred to as UAPs. What began as a standard flight over controlled airspace transformed into a moment of disbelief when a pilot reported seeing an unfamiliar object hovering close to his aircraft. Years later, newly resurfaced audio of the encounter has once again drawn widespread attention, prompting renewed debate over what exactly was seen and how often similar incidents may be quietly unfolding in the skies. A routine flight turns unusual. The incident occurred while a pilot was operating a Piper PA-32RT-300T Turbo Lance II, a single-engine aircraft commonly used for private and business travel. The aircraft was flying at an altitude of approximately 3,500 feet, well within normal operating parameters for such a plane. Weather conditions at the time were reportedly stable, with no immediate hazards or abnormalities noted prior to the sighting. The pilot was in communication with air traffic controllers at Rhode Island T.F. Green International Airport, following standard procedures. Then, without warning, something unexpected appeared. According to the pilot's radio transmission, a small, metallic, cylindrical object came into view near the aircraft's wing. What made the sighting particularly unsettling was not only the object's appearance, but its behavior. The pilot described the object as appearing stationary, seemingly unaffected by wind, turbulence, or the aircraft's own forward motion. "It looks like a strange object that we just went by," the pilot said over the radio. "It's a small silver canister. It appeared to be just standing still." For any pilot, the sudden presence of an unknown object in close proximity to an aircraft raises immediate safety concerns. Even a small item, if struck, could pose serious risks to the aircraft's structure or control surfaces. Air traffic control searches for answers. Upon receiving the report, air traffic controllers responded calmly, following established protocol. Controllers checked radar data and reviewed flight information to determine whether any other aircraft, drones, or known aerial devices were operating in the area. According to the audio, no other reports had been received, and no corresponding radar contacts were immediately identified. Controllers asked the pilot whether the object could have been a drone or balloon, two common explanations for unusual sightings at lower altitudes. Drones, while regulated, have increasingly been reported near airports and flight paths, often flown illegally or irresponsibly. Weather balloons, meanwhile, can carry cylindrical scientific instruments and may appear motionless from certain perspectives. The pilot, however, remained unconvinced. "I didn't see anything attached to it," he responded. "It was sort of hovering there. It was astonishing. I don't know what it was." He further explained that the object appeared close to the right wingtip, then seemed to move alongside the aircraft before disappearing from view entirely. A moment of tension and humor. As the exchange continued, the tone over the radio reflected a mixture of concern, disbelief, and nervous humor, a common reaction when faced with something unexpected yet unexplained. One controller described the situation as creepy, while another jokingly wished the pilot good luck with the aliens. Though the comment was clearly made in jest, it underscored the unusual nature of the encounter. Even seasoned aviation professionals, trained to identify aircraft, balloons, and known aerial devices, appeared uncertain. Other pilots monitoring the frequency joined the conversation, with one remarking, "I want to believe him," a statement that resonated with listeners once the audio was later shared publicly. The audio resurfaces. While the incident itself did not initially make headlines, it gained renewed attention years later when the aviation-focused YouTube channel Voss Aviation shared the recorded air traffic control audio in October. Voss Aviation is known for posting real ATC recordings that highlight unusual, tense, or educational moments in aviation. The resurfacing of this particular clip quickly went viral, spreading across social media platforms and sparking intense speculation. Listeners were struck by the pilot's calm yet clearly unsettled demeanor, a tone that suggested he was not exaggerating or seeking attention, but genuinely attempting to describe something he could not identify. Public reaction and UFO speculation. Once the audio reached a broader audience, online reaction was swift and divided. Some listeners interpreted the description as evidence of a UFO, using the term in its literal sense, an unidentified flying object. Others went further, suggesting extraterrestrial technology or secret government aircraft. Skeptics, meanwhile, argued that the object was likely mundane, possibly a balloon, debris, or an optical illusion caused by lighting conditions and motion perception. This divide mirrors a broader public debate that has intensified in recent years, as governments, including the United States, have acknowledged the existence of unexplained aerial encounters without assigning extraterrestrial explanations. Understanding perception at altitude. Aviation experts frequently point out that human perception at altitude can be misleading. Objects that are small and distant can appear larger or closer than they truly are. Likewise, an object moving at a similar speed and direction as an aircraft can appear stationary. Sun glare, reflections off cockpit windows, and changes in depth perception can further complicate visual identification. However, pilots are also trained observers, accustomed to scanning airspace and identifying potential hazards quickly. That training makes reports like this one particularly compelling, not because they prove something extraordinary, but because they resist easy dismissal. Weather balloons and scientific payloads. One commonly cited explanation is a weather balloon or scientific research device. These balloons can carry cylindrical payloads designed to collect atmospheric data. Depending on wind conditions, they may appear to hover or drift slowly. Yet weather balloons are typically launched in coordinated operations, often logged with aviation authorities. The absence of any known balloon activity in the area at the time complicates this explanation. Additionally, balloons generally ascend rapidly and are more often encountered at much higher altitudes than 3,500 feet, though exceptions do occur. The drone question. Drones represent another plausible explanation, especially as their use has expanded dramatically over the past decade. However, operating a drone at that altitude near controlled airspace would violate FAA regulations and pose serious risks to aviation safety. Most consumer drones lack the capability to hover steadily at such heights for extended periods, particularly without noticeable propulsion noise or visible features. Military or experimental drones could theoretically operate under different parameters, but there is no evidence suggesting such activity in the area during the incident.
The Federal Aviation Administration has confirmed that all reports of unidentified aerial phenomena made by pilots to air traffic control are formally recorded. In a statement, the FAA explained, "The FAA documents UAP sightings whenever a pilot reports one to an air traffic control facility. If supporting information such as radar data corroborates the report, the FAA shares it with the UAP task force." The agency also noted that multiple U.S. government bodies maintain their own processes for studying UAP reports, while sharing relevant information when appropriate. Importantly, the FAA does not assign conclusions to sightings unless sufficient evidence exists. Many cases remain unresolved due to limited data. UAPs and growing transparency. In recent years, the term UAP has increasingly replaced UFO in official contexts. The shift reflects an effort to reduce stigma and encourage reporting without sensationalism. Congressional hearings, Pentagon briefings, and declassified reports have confirmed that hundreds of UAP encounters have been logged by military and civilian pilots alike. While many have been explained as balloons, drones, or sensor errors, others remain unexplained. The Rhode Island incident fits squarely into this category, not because it suggests extraterrestrial involvement, but because it lacks enough information to reach a definitive conclusion. Why these incidents matter. From a safety standpoint, unidentified objects near aircraft are taken seriously, regardless of their origin. Understanding what pilots encounter helps aviation authorities refine procedures, improve reporting systems, and enhance airspace security. From a societal perspective, these incidents challenge assumptions about how well we understand the skies above us, a space that feels familiar, yet still holds mysteries. A mystery without a verdict. Ultimately, the silver object reported over Rhode Island remains unidentified. No radar confirmation, physical evidence, or additional sightings emerged to clarify its nature. It may have been a balloon, a drone, debris, or a trick of perception, or it may represent one of the many aerial encounters that fall into a gray area between the known and the unknown. What is certain is that the pilot reported what he saw honestly, air traffic control followed protocol, and the incident was preserved, waiting years later to capture public attention once again. As long as humans continue to fly, explore, and observe the skies, such encounters will likely continue. Sometimes explainable, sometimes not, and always fascinating.